Welcome back to the What's the Story Hash Brown Glory podcast, episode 7. We are your hosts, Tom and
Lee.
No second names today. He just wants to be like Madonna, and I'll be like Sting and Madonna here. But he's the one that's wearing the pokey bra. Today we have a fantastic guest, actually, Combie Cryan from Round Corner Brewing, who I rep the brand frequently. And I know that I can say I absolutely love every single thing that they put out.
The only hat you've got.
I've got that.
Yeah.
I've probably got more hats than Sainsbury's. Yeah.
They have a lot of rabbit.
Well, they did. And the famous Chaz and Dave song. But before we get into that, again, we'll continue the story of Rustic Kitchen and where we are today and how we got there. And this one, we thought we'd talk about development. So we knew that we were going to have Rustic Kitchen, and the lease was like ready to be signed at a certain point when the building was ready. And we were doing crowdfunding and everything was really starting to pick up momentum, wasn't it? And we started to, we didn't. Lee started to begin to think about the menu and what was going to go on it. That's how much this relationship works as well. Lee does the ideas and I help.
At the end of the day, we knew we had to build a place from scratch. We'd have no electricity. We didn't have no water. We had to get a little screwdriver to get the water out, didn't we, at the start? So we knew the actual fit out was going to be graft. So we had to do the development beforehand. We knew we had
I wonder where you're going with that, but yes.
we had to, because as soon as it was ready, we had to open.
We had to open, absolutely,
to get some money through the door and customers in. So we had to pre-think about what was going on the menu, which was working on the ash brown, working on the bacon carb. Sounds so silly.
I remember
some bacon.
One of my fondest memories actually was getting to Turlington, and Lee had already been in, and he'd been in maybe an hour.
For hours.
An hour or so.
He rolls in at 3:30 in the afternoon. I've been there 6.
Busy man. Loads of shit to do.
Busy man.
And he went,
your place was closed.
I've made the bacon sandwich. And there's a picture of me on Instagram. It should still be there, I think, unless Lauren, hope you not deleted it.
It dribbled down your chin, didn't it?
And it was the best bacon sandwich I've ever had, actually. We have bacon butter, brioche cob, home cured bacon from Glenlewin. And it was just unbelievable. And I was like, there were no improvements needed. This was just like the best bacon cob we'd ever had. It
was just all about the details of how we're going to do it and how many rashers of bacon, what size bacon, bacon butter, a little added difference in there as well. What brioche cob, what carrier are we going to do? Are we doing on bread? Are we going to do on a brioche cob? Are we going to do on a milk bun? We need all that needs to be done beforehand. We can't just roll up on the first day and go, oh shit, what's the menu going to be? You know what I mean? So all that work beforehand. We were making crumpets like a year before we was going into.
We'd already trialed all these. Like we did during the pop-ups as well. We'd done a little bit of toasties as well. So we trialed the Reuben. We trialed the 3 cheese toasty. We trialed toasties and sandwiches and stuff, and bagels that went down like a shit sandwich. But we did those sort of things to try and to test them out. It was a good little sounding off board, wasn't it?
Yeah, and like doing the Scotch eggs, and it sounds so simple making the sausage roll, but
there's no one makes a sausage roll like us though.
No, they don't. They try, but
they try
because we built this place on sausage rolls. It says on the tote bag that no one buys. Also, tote bags are available.
They are. There's loads of
fucking loads. But getting the sizing of the sausage roll, so they're exactly the same each time. So we the consistency is always there. Yeah. So that's why we recipe things.
Consistency is our middle name.
That's why we have measurements for everything. Is so anyone can come into the kitchen and do exactly the same as we have done. Yeah. So that's why we do the development work.
One final word on development. Do you remember when you'd done the first hash brown? He took it out of the fryer and he lifted it up and he dropped it into a steel bowl and it went dink.
Yeah, it did.
It was a beautiful moment because it was not a soggy shit hash brown. Well, you'll know. We haven't got any today. You'll know if you've been, and if you haven't been, why the hell haven't you been? And that's why we called this podcast Hash Brown Glory, because It's a glorious thing. Mm-hmm. Should we get Combie on?
Yep.
Combie likes beer. He's going to tell you loads about it now. I'm very excited to introduce today's podcast guest. This man is not only the co-owner of my favourite brewery, but has a staunch business sense of the best of them. I'm sure we're going to learn loads in this next hour. Alongside his co-conspirator Colin Page, they've collected more silverware than Buckingham Palace with a whopping 65 medals at the time of writing in 6 short years. Alongside pork pies, they've definitely put Melton Mowbray on the map. A match made in heaven. Pork pies and beers. We are in heaven. Please welcome to the podcast, Combie Cryan of Round Corner Brewing in Melton Mowbray. Welcome
Hello,
along.
everyone.
How are you?
Great to be here. Yeah,
It's
looking
excited
forward
to have you here.
Yep.
You've brought some friends.
Yes. Some
The
beer.
Arsenal.
Yes, of course.
The Arsenal, yeah. Should we let you lead the way? Which one are we going for?
Let's start. Listen, it's sunny outside. It's Friday evening. I don't know when it's going to be broadcast, but it's Friday evening now. So let's go Frisbee Lager.
Okay.
You can't.
Okay, you do it, mate. You do the honours. You're the boss.
You can't start any session in any other way
It's his least
other than a
favourite, right?
lager.
It's my favourite.
Yeah.
Frisbee is.
There we go. Hold on, I'll get that going. I've got to get a bit of hold on.
Look at that.
Producer Adam, there's a beer for you.
There we go. Look at
Oh,
If you're not
got the
watching
gluggy
this,
noise.
I'm pouring it into the microphone there
You-
for added effect.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, sláinte.
Cheers. Sláinte. Clinky. Oh. It says crisp, grassy, and floral.
Yes,
Delicious.
Grassy.
Yes,
Give me more on that.
The key one is crispness. I mean, in lager, it 90% of the beer world is lager, whether we like it or not, whether you like hops or malt, and there's plenty of beers out there, but the beer styles that sell in volume are lager. And people like the crispness, the kind of grassiness gives a bit more kind of, well, it's obviously not grass, it's imbued by the ingredients, but the crispness is really, really important. You want to create a beer that's moreish, and Frisbee's definitely that.
Just easy to drink, isn't it?
Yeah, nice and bright. I mean, you can do, and there's plenty of styles out there where you use hoppy lagers. We'll drink maybe an orange lager later and stuff like that. But the secret with any of these things is just to make them super sessionable, very refreshing, crisp. Really drinkable at cold temperatures. Yeah,
So
moreish.
I'm just going to go straight into the flavour profiles thing. So when you plan a beer, because you clearly plan this, do you go, I really want to do let's go for lager, and I really want to have a crisp flavour, and have you got an idea of how to get that before you've even brewed anything?
You have an end outcome in mind.
Yes.
Of a beer that you think will ultimately probably do two things. One is taste amazing and sell in volume. That's what you want to do. Is you want to tick both those boxes. And you might be inspired by, oh Christ, I quite fancy this summer, thinking about a wheat beer or whatever. Or you might, have tasted a beer 10 years ago and said, like, that was just an amazing experience. But the other part of it is you have to probably have a sense that enough people are going to drink those beers. So there's those twin forces that come together, and kind of answering your second question, then how do we turn an idea into reality? That's the amazingness of Colin, the co-founder with me, kind of master brewer, 30 odd years brewing beer. And probably really luckily for us, a number of those years running nothing but new product development for big breweries, etc. So I think we win a lot of awards and a lot of medals, and the stuff that you don't necessarily see is that we can sit round and kind of come up with an idea, and just unrelentingly he turns that idea into reality. And we don't say brew on a micro batch basis. Our first brews are always on point. We might tweak it and refine it and improve it as further iterations go. But the outstanding excellence of him is that he can turn ideas into exact realities. Like, as an example, all our tasting notes are written before the liquid is
Oh, really?
yeah, because he knows
Wow.
this ingredient
That's
equals
just
this outcome.
Expert, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
pure expert.
So with the Frisbee, how long does it take to get it into the actual can from
Yeah.
when you first start?
So that's I'm going to have to scratch one of my questions for you now. But
Well, we can just try and remember.
no, yeah,
Then we'll get a point.
maybe, yeah.
We will forget.
No, we're not going down that route. Yeah, the brand new questions. Lagers take longer than ales. So you'd be talking about lagering, from the brewing point to being able to be consumed. You talk about 4 or 5 weeks.
Right.
Whereas with, say, a cask ale, one of those hand pumps that are on a bar, you'd be talking about a little over a week. And so lagers are an interesting product. It wasn't always the case. If you go back to the 70s, probably about 70 to 80% of the liquid consumed in the UK would have been an ale and darker in form and maybe, oftentimes a bit more malty. It's only a recent thing that hops have come back into fashion in a very big way. But, 70 to 80% of the liquid sold in the UK would be ale. And then lagers came in and really kind of found a niche. But with that come some interesting things is they sell in big volume. The craft beer world didn't particularly approach them for a long time. We kind of stayed in the world of hoppiness and IPAs and oftentimes like very big stouts and imperial stouts. But that market stayed resolutely focused on, drinking crisp beers, drinking them in volumes during summer days. And so we've all turned our attention to that. And because of the kind of fortunate position that we're in, that, someone like Colin has brewed great lagers all around the world, big breweries, small breweries, etc. We're very comfortable playing in that world, and it represents a good volume of our business. But if you go back to the kind of brewing aspect of it, and some of the challenges of lager is it takes a long time to brew it, so it ties you up for a lot longer. Right. But also in that, if we describe it as crispness and floral and all that, there is nowhere to hide with that beer. So if you're not amazingly capable brewer, capable of executing a recipe and doing that consistently, you can't hide flaws with hops that you can do in an IPA world or etc. And as a result, you get certain people who, through maybe a mixture of that, don't back themselves to make a lager. And indeed, sometimes it's the kit. Like lagers take some technical expertise and oftentimes tools to produce amazing end product. And you really need to invest in that. So if you talk about us at Round Corner, we have a reverse osmosis water treatment system, which is very rare for a brewery of our size to have that. But that was a non-negotiable no-brainer for entry into it. We treat all our water when it comes in. We create the pH profile of that water that we need for the beers that we're producing. And we believe that tells and shows in something like lager. Then you obviously add the malt and the hops. And then we step mash, which is we increase the temperatures as we're going through the brewing process. But we also do that through having gas steam boilers and really micro temperature controls, both at the brewing process and in our fermentation process over those periods. So there's a lot of investment that goes into that extra 5 or 10% between a lager that to most people tastes, that's fine, that's acceptable, that's really nice. And for us, a lager that's just super crisp and, beautifully refreshing and moreish. And we will always make that 5 or 10% effort, always.
Yeah.
So when you make and you do your trial test of the Frisbee to start off, and then it passes all the tests, you're happy with it, and then it goes into full production. And
there's no tests. No, they always go into full production.
Oh, straight in?
No tests, yeah.
Oh, so you don't scale up? So
no.
I'm from a development background, and we tested all the products that when we put through the factory, and then when we scaled up, you have to adjust the recipes slightly to go to scale up, but you go straight in.
We'll go straight in. Like we will say, for instance, if we're very big on a particular product, we might get all the best examples of that particular beer from around the world, wherever we need to get them. We'll taste them, and then we'll agree what we think works best out of all of those. But as I said, the magic of having someone like Colin and the team around us is that they go from paper into production immediately. And then obviously if we scale that up and we want to make not one 2,000 litre batch, but a 4,000 litre batch, the recipe has to scale at that stage. But no. And if we produce it and we think, well, that was really nice, but maybe we think that this, that or the other, we'll sometimes tweak. But probably not tweaks that most people would recognize in the end product. Yeah, it's I haven't owned enough breweries to know how unique it is or not, but my sense is we're very blessed with that situation to go straight from paper to production, and we scale up based on people's feedback and stuff like that.
That's fascinating.
It is. Yeah.
Wow.
When I say scale up based on people's feedback, it's do you like it or not?
Yeah.
Because we'll make more of it, type thing, rather than.
And is that what the tap room is
we
used
could do
for?
with a bit more hops.
Is that what the tap room is used for?
No, I mean the tap room it probably there's a few different things that tap rooms deliver, and if you go back yet again, maybe 20 years, people set up breweries, and their job was to sell to the local publicans, and close the doors at a week, on a Friday evening, and that's it. And it's really difficult to have a business model where that's the case anymore. You're kind of abstracted from the customer group. You don't really get direct feedback, and more importantly, you don't get the direct revenue of selling, beer to people, and quite frankly, oftentimes the presence in the community. So that's where, for us, a tap room was fundamental to everything that we wanted to do. It was always fundamental to where we positioned ourselves, which is inside this 1,000-year-old cattle market right in the centre of Melton Mowbray. Is we thought we'd create a destination, and we feel we're at least partway there. That we get several hundred people there, be there tonight with the sun shining. It's just a magnificent experience, and it does all of those things. It's typically the first place where we'll launch beer out, but simultaneously we'll be launching in pubs and shops all around the place. It gets us direct contact with our fans and customers, and oftentimes we'll find that someone might come, to your place like this, and they'll try a beer, and they go, "Oh, it's really nice," and "Oh, they're from just down the road. I must go and see them." And they come to our place, and their kind of minds are blown by, I suppose, the scale of how we think about things, just the niceness of the experience, and it's quite communal. We have a pizza kitchen there, and it's just something very unique. And the kind of final one is, it generates two things: is money, which is returned back into the business for us, and that's great. But the other one is there is nothing that comes close to the buzz and the experience of handing people a pint of your own beer in your own place, them drinking it and loving it and telling you to your face, this is amazing. So, we found certainly during COVID, when we were selling lots of beer to different places, we absolutely missed that buzz of people directly drinking our beer and telling us right there and then, this is amazing. Like, I'm just absolutely loving this, and so, we see all of those things as really, really being critical. So there's certainly a case that tap rooms, which are direct, pubs just adjacent to breweries, it's a no-brainer. Brewery has to have that, for all of those reasons and more. And there's a timeless element to brewing and breweries that also comes into play here, where if you go back hundreds of years, or even contemporary world, brewers became publicans, and all breweries had an estate of somewhere between 50 and 1,000 pubs all in their area, and that's where they got their beers out. And that was kind of broken up by the government in the 80s. It was kind of, there was a kind of monopolistic element to it, et cetera, and it kind of fell out of fashion a little bit of that, like brewery affiliated pubs. But what's kind of come back is definitely that a lot of craft breweries see not only the vital nature of a taproom affiliated brewery, but having a few different, whether it's bars under your own name or running different places as a place to get your brand out, get people drinking your beers, trying a full range of it, and also garnering that full margin from it. And so you'll see a lot of craft breweries now, not with one tap room right beside the brewery, but with maybe 3 or 4 places. But the reality is we don't all have the cash to have 200 of them or anything like that. But just having a few and really branching out in a kind of complementary way to the rest of your business, because there's still the core of all of our business is selling into pubs who pull the pints and require us to back them up in that. But you can do both and do it very successfully. And so, you just have to be close to, the end consumer and to the publicans that are, pouring your beers permanently, etc. And so, that's always something. Having direct customer contact is, it improves your ability to sell beer and make great beer because you're getting direct customer feedback.
Sure. Yeah.
And also they can see your passion coming across as well.
Yes, yeah, 100%. Yeah, and you know, and that's important. I mean, I think whatever, people buy from people and all that type of stuff, but I think if folks, you know, understand where beer comes from and the love and care that goes into making every drop, it makes a difference. And it makes a difference not just about will they buy the beer or not, but will they engage with us as a business or not and want good for us and deliver us goodwill. So yeah, we're the beneficiaries of a lot of that. We have tons of people who just do amazing things for us, like, you know, kind of they'll volunteer to, you know, I mentioned our kind of pizza container that was built by some of the volunteers from our things. They built our pizza container, just the most amazing act of love that people build you a kitchen. And, you know, we won't ever forget that. But to have the buzz of having a business that has that level of passion from people in it is, it's a blessing. And you know, it's not something we ever take for granted at all. So yeah, we're lucky to be where we are and to do what we do.
So do you find that there's a really great community in Melton then who's massively supportive and grateful as well? Yeah,
big time. Yeah, we I mean, we have this kind of unofficial role of the Melton's tourist board, and you know, we take it very seriously. Like in the sense of this, is you can't overblow it. Melton is a market town. It's a market town that in some ways has seen better days. So you can't present it as this beautifully gentrified, you know, amazing place where there's, you know, independent stores in every corner, and like that's not what it is, right? It's a secondary market town. The high street's seen better days, and but it has so much soul and passion and such a history and such goodwill from people and an expanding population that we just know that if you give them something to love and to back, they will absolutely be there for you. And that's always been our intention, you know. So the history of the town is amazing. It was the center of winter sports in Europe for 300 years. You know, so this amazing history of royalty from all around Europe coming to winter in Melton Mowbray. Winter sports being fox hunting, you know, weirdly and obviously very controversially in these days, but that's what it was. That's where royalty did. And so it was a beautiful town with all of these, they're called hunting boxes, like little lodges and stuff like this. And it obviously has huge food provenance and stuff like that. So the bones of the town, the history of the town, the resonance of the name is amazing. But somehow, probably particularly within the last 20 years and not unique to Melton Mowbray, that's kind of not translated onto the ground. You know, it's called the rural capital of food. It is so deserved in some ways in terms of some of the biggest food companies in the country are based there. But, you know, even now, going out for dinner in Melton Mowbray is, you chance have probably been there. It's not, it's not coming down with choices, right? Like that's a reality. You know, and there's amazing bars in Melton, like one of our best friends, Charlie, runs an amazing bar and we kind of back and away. But yet again, there's not loads of bars in Melton, you know, and so for us, it's really important that we're ambitious on behalf of the town and that outside the two Providence products, which I'll be asking some questions on later, that we give something else that Melton's known for. So we take that role seriously, you know, and I think it's not just through a sense of community, which it is, but we think it means something for us in our business and our brand and being part of the community. Probably we and many others have an exaggerated sense of that. Exaggerate is the wrong word. A clearer sense of it. In COVID, you know, before COVID, people thought, if I get 1% of the global market in beer, I'll be a billionaire. And this was a business plan to some people. And then when the world contracted at the start of COVID and you became all about the community and that was all you could lean on, people realize, shit, I need some foundations to whatever these grand ambitions are. And those foundations are typically geographical and linked to your community. And we were in a fortunate position that community was always quite important to us and remains important to us. So yeah, we won't ever kind of forget those people that have kind of backed us and kind of seen us through, and lots of our beers are named after it and stuff like that. But you also have to move on. And also, you can't build a brewery for Melton Mowbray, right? It's just not big enough, right? So the liquid, the stories, the brand, the aspiration, all those types of things have to resonate with people. nationally and internationally. And so our sense is like Melton has lots of things going for it, or lots of similarities to, might be a place in the Midwest in the States. For us is we don't see any of these boundaries where, being able to tell a story about that resonates with someone in another country, and they'll drink that beer and think, the things that we think. That's quite a buzz for us to think that might happen. We'll see.
You talk a lot about, everything.
Yeah,
but
is that an insult?
It's a bit of banter. But you talk a lot about history in everything you do. I remember talking to one of your colleagues years ago. We came and did a little pop-up at the brewery.
Yeah.
And you did, and it was all about, we did like ham, egg and chips with a beer chutney.
Yeah.
And
weren't you in the brewery? Were you?
Yeah, we cooked in the brewery with my other company. And your colleague said you were obsessed with this recipe in a Melton Mowbray book. And so we literally took one of your beers and put it in the recipe. But what my point here is, there's a lot of, you seem to love the history about things and bringing them through into the now.
Well,
is that something?
Yeah, like even if we apply to beer, so like I don't want to talk about Melton forever, right? Because it's not, it's not the everything for us. But like if you take beer, for example, it's been around for millennia, right? And so I think there might be people who tootle into the beer world and, they're in it for a couple of years and they think, I know exactly what beer is and isn't. And as a result, the most overused word of beer is innovate. And they're going to innovate and they're going to change the world of beer. And normally they'll start to shite on about something that is definitely not an innovation, that's probably been tried 20 times before in the last 100 years, let alone in all the millennia. And so if you don't understand history in whatever context it is about where you're from or what you're producing and stuff like that, you're missing a trick, and like, so, we never, that word innovation, we don't use it. We talk about in brewing, we talk about uncommonly good beer. For us, that means, we are pursuing with each style that we kind of aim to brew, producing the best example in the world. We view kind of craft as the pursuit of perfection. And that's perfection is quite a triggering word, right? But we mean it. We mean that whenever we set out to make a beer style, we want to make the best example of that in the world. And if that means we have to take 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, iterating, improving, learning new skills, we're going to do that. There's not shortcuts. Artisan for us isn't about just throwing shit in a brew house or fermentation vessel and seeing what happens, right? That's not to us craft or artisan. It is master sushi makers or knife makers from Japan or people who hone their craft over decades. And so for us, we see that as really important. And if you go back to history, is most of the styles that are, in a contemporary world pursued and drunk and loved by people are beer styles that have been around for centuries and centuries. Like IPAs, definitely over the last 10 years, probably it's from its zenith, it's declining a little bit, but still so well produced is a beer that was produced in the early 1800s for shipping to India, so that's an old style, and then just disappeared off the map for, decades, if not a century, until the Americans in the 1980s rediscovered that and started putting bigger hops in there, and so, I think knowing history is going to make you a better person at producing beer, probably a better person, full stop. So, yes, why not invest in it? A bit geeky as well.
No, I like it. I think it's super important because foundations are what we're all built on in like our educational for knowledge. So it's important.
And we do
use it a lot.
We do, because I do the history and all that type of stuff. But like, if we apply it, a slight pivot on that would be, we tend to hire, say, people from Melton Mowbray, and we'll kind of bring them up through the business. But a certain point where you need to hire people that are very skilled at what they do in order to kind of grow and iterate. So if I talk about kind of Colin as the co-founder, and the person who leads from the brewing front, our actual head brewer is a woman called Lara Lopez, who we sponsored to come over from Brazil. And she leads all our kind of brewing now and everything day to day to make, our liquids great. And, so you have to go out and find amazing things and amazing people to continue your vision and deliver and make the business grow. And so, all the time we're searching for, great people who know their stuff to take things to another level and to kind of then bring those standards into the people that we have. So, yeah, I think a kind of geeky academic thing, like even like our salesperson is a guy called George. You were very fortunate to get him. He spent, the last 10 years at Thornbridge running their sales. And so to have someone like that, want to come back, our business is just amazing. And so, yeah, we kind of like doing things the right way for the right reasons.
Shall I ask you where this all began? It feels like a bit of a break, actually, in terms of.
Can we open one of the beers?
Oh, please do.
I'm dying
Which
here.
one?
Let's do that.
You lead the way. I'm waiting for you to crack it
I can't
open.
reach it.
No, you tell us which one you want.
Layover, orange lager. Let's do it. Yeah,
There we go.
Yeah. Oh, okay, my mic.
Because at some point you met Colin. Where did? Well, let me press the button. It feels like a bit of a broken one here at this point.
All the people.
It feels like a real delay now. I wanted to do the story, not the jingle.
They'll all go hand in hand.
Press your glass, mate.
Hand in hand through their pot slide.
So where did you meet Colin? How did that begin?
Yeah.
Where did this idea come from?
So it's a kind of rather. The idea has been
Thank you.
been now. So there's the layover. Let's just take a moment to appreciate. So
Cheers.
this is layover orange lager. So with orange peel, we made this first last year as a beer called Casa Melton, almost very similar, but actually more orange this year, and launched it last week. And it's just so like hotcakes. It's beautifully refreshing, citrusy, which is just the hops
beer.
as well as the orange, right? And it is a great summer beer. And we knew it would be a great summer beer because when we launched it in February last year, it sold like hotcakes in the depths of winter. And we were just saying, let's wait till next summer and go for this one. So yeah, it's one of our seasonal beers, but we think it's going to sell really, really well over the summer.
So is this essentially like just canned, ready for the sunshine to hit us now?
Yeah, well, it's out there now.
It's out there
so
now.
yeah. So it's we're really excited about that beer. It's because there's a lot of fruited IPAs, etc., but like just a really nice balanced fruited lager. Kind of almost in contravention to the in contrast to Frisbee, which is very crisp and clean. This has got a kind of bit more to it, but like just we are pretty excited. Do you know what? We just like drinking it. So and there's a good test in itself. Like as an example,
That's what we base it on here. Like we sell stuff that we want to eat.
Yeah.
It's really simple. We sell stuff that we think
If it's
that's
tasty,
bloody delicious.
If it's tasty.
And it looks great and we want to eat it.
Bacon flatbread. We was doing this.
Oh my God, we've got so many stories about this.
It was like a staff lunch kind of thing, and we kept on that doing it.
We even
Flatbread
thought it wasn't good enough. Like we doubted ourselves. I've had it. I've been back off holiday a week or whatever, and I've had it 3 times. Like I'm obsessed with it. It's just.
So you're gonna hit me with this bacon flatbread, and then there's none here. Is this what you're telling me?
You're an hour late, Combie. Kitchen's closed, mate. I didn't invite you.
Can we not talk about food anymore?
You can come back on me.
Yeah, absolutely. It is unbelievable. It's an absolute flavour bomb. But we just thought it was too simple. But we love eating it.
Yeah.
We're like, let's give it a whirl.
Yeah.
And it's flowing now.
So what does it look like?
So see, fermented flatbread.
Yeah.
And then we've got coriander chutney on there. We've got Kashmiri chili sauce, mango chutney, dry cured bacon from Glen Lewin's Butchers, fried egg, and pickled red onions. And it's
Does it look like a piece of quiche or a piece of pizza?
I have a picture, actually. Took a
like
photo
a
of it
piece.
today.
Yeah. Oh, I'm bloody loving this.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's got like the right notes of salty, sweet,
Yeah. I love the saltiness
chili,
of it as well.
The egg on
acidic, richness. It's oof.
top. Breakfast product or all day product?
More lunchtime kind
All right.
of thing.
Yeah.
It is it's on our brunch menu. Which is what we do.
Okay. Nice.
It's a good.
Yeah. Now, before we go on to the meat, but it's almost triggered by that. Yet again, whether there's comparisons. What we do in terms of testing, actually, because I forgot to mention this, is that because I talked a little bit about, we want to produce products that taste great, that taste balanced, that you want to have more of. Because sometimes people will produce a beer style, well, let's say it might be an imperial stout or a really heavily hot beer that you'll love the taste of, but after about half a pint, you're done, right? You're just like, that's it, bit of an overload or whatever it might be. We tend not to produce those beers, even where we do an imperial or a really hot beer. We try and make them balanced. You just want more, right? Like, and so one of the things that we will do about a beer, and this is a test that we'll do, is we do the gallon test, which is 8 point something pints. And so normally led by Colin, who's great, is that every beer that we produce, we'll give it the gallon test. So it's someone's job to drink good volumes of beer, gallon. And,
what a test.
and make sure that throughout that experience, it's consistently great, it's consistently good, leaving you in a really good, consistent position. So yeah, so
My position would be on the floor.
Not a good state by the end.
The trickier ones are the bigger ABV beers, but it's really important that you know that you're producing a beer that is really nicely balanced. Like, the days are gone when people drink big volumes of beer. And certainly, you know, for us in the craft beer world, that's not the intention. Like, generally, beer consumption is down, like, just by about 50%, right?
Why is that then?
Yeah. Generally, there's probably a few different things, but mainly it's just general societal, whatever you might want to call it. It's moved on.
Since when?
Now, will I do my first question? Or do I do the questions? No, I'm going to give you a question anyway. Since when? So it's some stage in the last lifetime, and I'm going to give you a clue, and depends how good you are. So there was a football tournament in the UK. It was a baking hot summer. This was the peak of beer consumption in the UK.
The Euros in 20...
Lee's the sports buff, and I know.
Are you all too young for this? Earlier sports than that.
Oh, 96.
96 was the peak of beer consumption in the UK.
Really?
Yeah. It was. I just moved over here. It was so hot that summer. And, you know.
I remember it, too fair.
Yeah. And to be honest, like, I'm a danger of over intellectualizing this, but what a period of optimism and hope in the UK. It was the start of...
I wish I was 18 in the 90s. I was 12.
It was just amazing. Like, and it was hot summer and people were drinking it. Like, it was just great. But ever since then, beer consumptions are probably down about 50%.
Really?
Yeah. Just people drink less beer. And there's a few different impactors on that. There's generally a healthier focus on life. So people are... always pursuing things in a bit more balance than maybe they've done beforehand. There's definitely an area where, certainly when I was growing up, there was your workplace, there was your home, or workplace or school, whatever, right? Normally workplace if you're drinking alcohol, right? And there was only ever really one third place, which was the pub. Like, certainly in Ireland, but it wouldn't have been far off it in the UK. So that's where people went if they weren't at home or at work. And now you get people who, you know, you're at the gym, you're at the coffee shop, you're surfing the net, right? As another example. So that third place is hugely more competitive than it's ever been. And so as a result, probably where most of that volume has disappeared from is pubs. So supermarkets have kept their volume, and it's kind of end up being a price thing. So it's you have to have a product in this marketplace that's going to stand that test. So it's the trickier situation in its current market is probably for people who are producing very generic, cheap lagers and hoping that people drink 9 pints a night, because those days are gone and those people are gone.
I do remember drinking when I was younger, drinking like a good 8, 9, 10 pints. I can't do that now. I actually physically can't do that.
Also now, a lot of my friends start off on the beer and then go to the spirits, rum and coke or something like that throughout the night, because they get a bit bloated and
you spend all night in the pisser.
Yeah.
Pretty
much. Which is annoying.
Well, if you look at some of the big challenges for us and for all breweries, even contemporary challenge now, is that people who are probably 35 and above are really consistently drinking and do, you know, want to kind of attach themselves. They find a beer they really like and they'll back it and stuff like that. But even forgetting about that, people who are in the 18 to 25 age range now, statistically are drinking a lot less beer, like a lot less. A lot of them completely abstaining, a lot of them, you know, drinking in kind of more unusual patterns, but the volumes are not there. And so I think that's a big focus for how do we make our product attractive to fit in with their lifestyles, their wants and their needs. And there's no point in pretending that you can get back to some other days. You have to create like just a great tasting product, a product that goes well with food, a product that I suppose that they can believe in and they can back. And you know, they're the type of things that, you know, we would think about and kind of want to present well to those people. But, you know, kind of right now, most beer brands are living off people who are 35 and above. And pubs as well, you know. But you know that's but.
So listen, is that moving? Is that 35 going to be 40, or is that 35? And when you're 34, you're like, suddenly I quite fancy a lager.
You wouldn't. It's difficult to know because the data isn't there for long enough, and obviously COVID resets everything. But you wouldn't want to make that bet that it's not. You know, I think it's reasonable to behave like. They're just going to keep on going, and the people who maybe drink less will continue to drink less over a period of time. And
I mean, a lot of things happen in that time of like 30 to 40 in terms of like family life and stuff. Like you can't go to the gym as much. So what do? You watch Netflix and drink a nice box of beer.
It
happened to me, although I never went to the gym.
You missed that bit. So yeah, like so for us it's while people would talk about craft beer in this massive growth period and stuff like this, the overall universe we're in is contracting a bit. We're expanding within that. I think that's probably a good thing because we are leveraged more about experiences and, you know, as I said, pairing with food or drinking with friends and stuff like this, rather than, I don't know, projecting success by drinking the right brand. That's where the big macros play, is projecting success and, you know, all these types of things. Whereas, you know, we want people to drink because it's great flavor, because you're probably doing something good in doing that, and focus on building communities. But yeah, we remain very optimistic about what is, but also realistic about the world that we're playing in. But I think most things will find a level. Like, you know, we certainly, if you looked at post-COVID, there was definitely a sense of, oh my God, will pubs ever come back? And they have done, but they've come back in very different ways. So someone who owned a pub who was on a high street and required like just accidental footfall, someone to trip in their door because they were walking down the high street, that's less and less successful. So if you have a place that is doing great food, doing great beer, is running specific nights, is triggering that, you have to, as a beer brand and as a pub or a restaurant, you have to reach into people's lives, into their homes, and bring them out. You have to, or else they're not going to trip over you, right, to come into you.
Yeah.
So I think, the investment that, you know, great pubs that have recognized that are thriving, and then probably people who are, you know, not doing that probably, will struggle a little bit more. So there's definitely, in a world that we are very aware of it, is the decimation of the high street continues, but there's probably, and we hope, a level to which it stops.
But if you've got like a destination place with a good outside area when it's sunny, good beer garden helps as well.
Yeah.
People will flood there still.
Yeah.
There is still call for it. It's just you need to offer something else.
Yeah.
Other than just like a back room in a pub.
Yeah.
That people got a big smoky room, and you need to offer other stuff.
Yeah.
To entice them in.
Yeah, and like, for instance, how you do things here, you can see, in the people of, you know, Mount Sark, can see that you work your ass off to produce not only great food but a great place to come. You know, and I think people see that and notice it, and like we think of it as another way, which is we make great beer and we win all of these awards, and we have, you know, food there, and, you know, all the ingredients are there for a great evening, but, you know, one of the things that people learned during COVID is that they could get great drinks at home. They could oftentimes get decent food at home, you know, not have to cook themselves. So oftentimes, was that ever enough? You know, whereas the one thing that we knew people could not get at home, and where we spend our time specifically in the taproom context, is creating a community and a place where people can come down and A, meet their friends if they've teed that up, but B, probably just meet new people. Like, we love and we invest in having a place where people meet new people, you know, big long tables, introducing people to each other. We do bar service because we like the thought of people making a journey to a bar and bumping into people along the way. We love that people bring their doggies along to our place, and everyone's petting the doggy. Sometimes if it bites back, whatever. And all of those things in our mind are some of the more unique reasons to come to us, because you can buy a beer in a can and bring it home if you want, and that's absolutely fine. We love it, but you won't happen to meet the person who's just moved into town that's interesting and stuff like that. And so that community thing, you can't get at home.
So talking about the tap room and events, you have pizza nights as well. Are you doing anything for the Euros? Have you got any plans?
We are. We do. We try and balance things that we don't want to run a sports bar. So, there's oftentimes people who are, are you showing the third round of the FA Cup? No, we're not, right?
The TV doesn't show that.
But the big tournaments like the Euros or the World Cup or the Six Nations, we show them. Yeah. But we try and focus as well, like we're not a good destination for a group of 20 lads to come and watch the Euros. That's not our catchment area. Yeah. It's still families, community atmosphere and stuff like that. So that's where we see still as our sweet spot. And also we create little areas, because we're in this big cattle market. We can create a segment that's just about the Euros, and we can create another segment where you couldn't be arsed. Yeah. Go to this place and you won't hear anything. And so people can get what they want from us. Because we're very conscious, like, you may face the same thing about, we get lots of requests for people to like book out the tap room or to do this, and we've never booked out the tap room ever, because we feel an obligation. We're only typically open. We're now open sometimes 4 nights a week, but typically 2 of our core nights, Friday and Saturday. To us, it's really important that people can always come down on a Friday and Saturday. Always important, never say never. Someone could come and offer us a gazillion quid for a Saturday night, and we might have to go, oh my God. But we've never closed it. Despite people asking for events and stuff like this, we say we can do you an event, but people got to come here and have a drink on a Friday and Saturday. And so for us, there's certain things that you want to do, whether it's around the Euros or whatever it is, that you want to look after the people who are coming to you week in, week out. So yes, we will be running those. And looking forward to it. And then going back to your question about how Colin and I met. So we met in...
I just had to play the jingle, Combie.
We met in 2005, I think, in New Zealand. So we were... I moved... My wife is a Kiwi, and I was working in the city in London, and I retired just because I was deluded. I didn't have any money or what. I was just sick of working. And we moved to New Zealand, where she's from. And then I did a beer tour all around the breweries of New Zealand. And a couple of people have mentioned, there's an Irish guy kind of brewing at Max is the name of the brewery. It's the kind of biggest independent beer, the biggest craft beer brand. It's no longer independent in New Zealand. And Colin was running that. And I just so happened to work at the Stock Exchange, which is right above Max, the brewery. And so, we just became friends, and I just loved how he did things and the beer he made, and it was just amazing. And so kind of pretty quickly, within a couple of years, we started plotting about whether it was a brewery in New Zealand, and then nearly in Vietnam, nearly in Cambodia. We had all of these kind of great ideas of places that were going to build a brewery. And then they didn't come off, and we forgot about it. And I came back to the UK, but then I kind of bought with the friend the rights to run the cattle market in Melton Mowbray. And I just quickly realised, and the guy Hugh that runs the cattle market realises, like, this is a great, I suppose, launch pad for a food or drink business and a brewery. And suddenly it was like, boom, Colin. That's my idea. I need to tell Colin. And so I did rang him, and he was running a big brewery in Australia at this stage. And, it quickly went from me telling them a story to him agreeing to like consult and help us get it off the ground, to then going like, do you know what? I might come home, and so that was the kind of the origin of the thing. And so, that was probably over the few years in the mid-teens, whatever, like 2015, 16. And then, we kind of started building in 2017 and first beers in December 2018. So, a mere whatever that is from the first conversations, 13, 14 years. So a long time in the making. But good things come close away.
As was our love story. Like, we've known each other 15, but only been in business, well, actually, officially about 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Is that right? 4 years, actually, I think.
4 years.
It was COVID, June
Yeah.
COVID. So, yeah, we're talking nearly 4 years now. Jesus,
Yeah.
put on me for 4 years.
Boom.
Tough.
It is fucking
Still together. Loving it.
shit anecdotes and crap dad jokes for 4 years. Can we drink another one?
Yeah. Let's do Drovers, right? Oh, what a beer.
Is this your favourite? It's the most decorated, anyway, isn't it? Is it?
Between it and Steeplechase, and
I like steeplechase.
yeah.
I like these both.
Yeah, we use our drovers in our beer cheese that goes on our breakfast muffin.
Yeah. Why am I doing all the pouring, by the way?
It's
You're
your
the
job.
expert.
It's your job. We'll do the talking, you do the pouring.
All right, yeah. I can do that, yeah. I'm happy. No.
Lovely stuff.
It's very special, this one.
Yeah, so Drovers it's a hazy session IPA. So just lovely kind of fruity hops in there. It went from a style, it started life weirdly. We started life as a summer ale, and then and it was beautiful, and it sold really well at the tap room, but we couldn't sell anywhere else, and we quickly realized we thought it was a risk all the way along, is people buy styles first and then they kind of migrate on to examples of that style. So we thought, summer ale, people just don't understand what it is, or they think it's a cask ale of some description or whatever. So we tweaked the recipe a little bit to get it into the IPA category, a few more hops, it's got Citra, Mosaic and Simcoe, and it just gives it like really kind of fruity characteristics. Hazy is definitely a style that's growing quite a lot, kind of quite refreshing, brilliant beer for the summer and stuff like that. So merely changing it from summer ale to a hazy session IPA, boom, it just took off. And used to have a few more. It was lemon drop hops originally as well, so it's a different beer. But yeah, I still have a little hankering for. I remember when Drovers was a summer ale. It was bloody lovely.
So that for me is perfect for summer.
It's a great beer.
That just.
Yeah,
Perfect
and it is, as of 3 weeks ago, the best keg ale in the world at the Oscars of Beers, the oldest beer competition in the world. It's just amazing. And
the best beer.
the best ale.
Best ale in the world.
The best ale out of a keg in the world. But it's what an accolade. Yeah. So ale is a very broad category, and it's a stunning beer. Stunning beer. We love it. Yeah.
It knocked me off my socks the first time I tried this. I was just like, that is unbelievable. Which is exactly what you want, but that's exactly what happened to me. That's why I'm such a massive fan, because I remember going, we've got to have this, and it's just, I couldn't believe it was in Melton. That's the thing, it's so close to my house. Yeah.
But nice beer.
Yeah, it's a winner. How many beers have you got in the repertoire now? Every time I look, there seems to be something new coming. It's
a cause of considerable debate at our end about where's the best balance. But we have kind of really five core beers, 4 kind of keg and can and 1 cask beer. So it's and they cover a nice variety of styles. So there's Frisbee Lager, Steeplechase Pale Ale, Drovers Hazy Session IPA, and Social Club Nitro Stout. So that Nitro Stout you can only get in a pint. And then we have a cask, which is Market Pale, which is a pale ale. So they're available all year round, kind of absolute core to our business. And then we probably do in the guts of 25, maybe 26, sometimes even more other beers. So we'll do, like clockwork, a different cask beer every month, and just cover a gamut of styles from blonde ales to pale ales to stouts to browns. Like, say, we did just this month, currently pouring in tons of bars all around the country, is our Breakfast at Timothy's Mild, which people probably, particularly from the West Midlands, love mild, which is low ABV, malty. And it's just an amazing example of style. So I'll profess, the mild thing, it's not always my cup of tea. I quite enjoy our mild, but like people are obsessed about it and like love it. So it's going well. But with cask, you can have fun, and people tend to experiment quite a lot. And then with keg, we do similar. We'd follow seasons. We'd look at what ingredients are there, and typically you'd probably do it in quite simplistic terms, fruitier and lighter during the summer as people consume more and whatever, and then darker and heavier and stronger in the winter. So we're at the moment just brewing a barrel aged beer that will go into barrels for the next 5 to 6 months and come out just in time for like that kind of October, November. Ooh. Really, like the whatever you might want to call it, the money man in me just has conniptions about it because it's so expensive to make that. I assume there's an equivalent in the food world.
Yeah, there is,
So expensive to make that beer, you just can't make it back, right? You just can't charge for the type of love and care and just expense that goes into making those beers. But you have to give people a gift every once in a while.
Yeah, you absolutely do.
Yeah. And they don't see it as a gift.
There are products that we sell, like the Millionaires compared to the Rocky Road.
Yeah.
Right? They're just two staple products that we have most of the year. We're actually about to retire the Millionaires for the summer, but those two products, for example, are year-round products for us. But the Millionaires takes 3 times more lately. It takes
the Millionaire takes 3 days to make.
Yeah, it could take
start to finish.
Wow. You got process that you have to go through.
You can make in half hour.
Yeah.
And
we sell it at the same price.
It's interesting.
It's like the Millionaire is like do the shortbread, and the caramel takes around about an hour and a half as someone stirring constantly, and it's a hard job.
Yeah.
And then that needs to set, and then we need to put the chocolate on top, and it needs to set, and then each segment has like a good process towards it.
But you can taste it.
Yeah.
And like I say, it's that gift.
Yeah.
This is our gift to you here,
Yeah.
You're paying for it via the Rocky Road.
That product is like...
Nice. So so it's good. And like, I mean, you asked the question, favorite, whatever. They're like your children, right? I don't have favorites. And genuinely, that's always been my approach to beers is depending on the time of year or how hot it is, I'll be chugging back lagers and, blah, blah, blah. And then in the winter is something darker. But like, I suppose you do get a bit more excited about, say, some of the seasonals where you get like a bit more emotionally attached to them. Like, say we've got one in the tank now, which I'm really excited about, which is a wheat beer, right? A Belgian wheat beer that we just made with the monks of Mount St. Bernard Abbey, just up the road. And I just love wheat beers and wheat beers. I just love them to death, and the whole bubble gummy, banana, you name it, and there's even a spectrum of flavors within that. But I just love that style. No fecker in the UK drinks them, and it's heartbreaking. Like we sell them and they sell through, but it's always to me shockingly more hard work to sell through those than the case. And people get properly emotional when we produce a wheat beer because we do great wheat beer styles. But people don't drink them. And weirdly, if you look at like say a hazy session IPA that sells like hotcakes no matter what you do, in my mind, they are very different beers. Wheat beers are all about the the yeast and some of the speciality elements to it and stuff like that. So they're not about the hops. But a hazy, refreshing summer cooler, like I just thought, why the hell are people falling over themselves on hazies and not seeing the nice link to a great wit beer? But you can't make people do what you want, but there you go. We'll keep on launching wit beers, hoping to make people do what we think is the right thing. But so I'm excited about that.
Do you export? Sorry, Lee.
Sorry. You go.
Do you export the beer? Do you send it abroad?
We do, but not in any kind of consistent way. It's probably something that we need to expand quite rapidly. So we're at capacity right now. We have exported beers to quite a few places, to Australia, to Switzerland, all around Europe, but not in any consistent way.
Okay.
It's been tougher post-Brexit. But yeah, kind of furthest afield our beer goes on a really consistent basis is Northern Ireland. We have a distributor there that gets our beers all around Northern Ireland, and the Isle of Man, where we have another distributor that gets our beers all around the Isle of Man. So if you consider those overseas,
They are overseas.
don't go there on the Northern Ireland one, by the way. But yeah, then
Can't walk it.
then yeah, but like. It's trickier in being a UK brewery. Generally, exports out of UK breweries are massively down because Brexit has made the export of any UK product typically about 20% more expensive. And it's bulky and heavy, right? You look at that. It's not like a watch.
That's mental though, isn't it?
Yeah, 20%. So it's trickier for people to buy.
The whole
here.
point of it was so you could sell your stuff abroad. And
no.
It's just...
well,
Cheers,
and you get the export board, God bless their cotton socks, and you know they have to do this, going through like, well, how's about New Zealand or Japan or whatever, like all very valid questions, but like see the weight of that to the price of it. So someone's really got to want your beer for you to export stuff to Japan.
And I guess
you're not going to live off
anyway.
exports to Japan, but you can live off exports to Sweden or to Italy, but they have all been massively diminished. So listen, if it was 2 years ago, I'd have been shiting on about this for about an hour out of like some form of anger and cathartic, whatever it is. But like, it is what it is. And we could sell plenty of beer in the UK, and we will have a crack, yet again, when stock's allowed to do more systematic stuff overseas. But we're not going to unmake that, in my mind, terrible economic decision for UK businesses. But that's life. We all have blue passports now and all that type of...
I don't yet. And when I get one, I'll be getting a red cover.
Yeah. Well, I've only got an Irish passport, by the way, so there you go.
You can ask a question.
Yeah. So regarding the names, who comes up with the names and why? Is there any kind of story along them all, or?
Yeah, do you know what? It's kind of some equivalent of like WWF WrestleMania, the last name standing, as we all kind of fight it out over them. I mean, they're triggered. The names or the options are triggered typically by we would have had a period where we used a lot of Melton stuff. Might have been a period where we used a lot of agricultural stuff. We might have a period where we'd look at the ingredients in the beer and kind of go from there. So there'd be sources of names. We'd put them down. There'd be some sort of voting system. You might even choose one. Someone might veto it. And we've learned certainly the most efficient way to do it is we come up with a beer calendar every year. That's kind of like Q3, Q4. We start to come up with that for the coming year. And not only do we find the styles of beer and whatever we do, but we try and kind of batch up the names at that stage so that we can just go boom, 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 rather than...
What's it called? What do we call it?
Yeah. And like, listen, they are big. We just had one for that wit beer that we described, that we've kind of gone through the kind of ringer on it and stuff like that. And the seasonal names are... fine, we get there pretty quickly, but like when you've got a beer that you think this is going to be a mega beer, we need to get the name really, really right, because we think this will go, then it's going to be even more kind of right how we do it. But we are inspired by the stuff around us, the ingredients, the story behind that beer, and then you back it by kind of doing that. And obviously you have to Google, make sure there's no one out there using it and stuff like that. But yeah, the sheer volume of products, it makes it a challenge, but it's kind of fun, and everyone gets involved. One of our brewers, Tim, just loves wordplay. So our mild, and he comes up with all sorts of different names all the time. So his productivity level for name things is just off the charts. But like the confluence for him of his greatest moment at Round Corner, because he's had many that to us were his greatest moments, but in my mind, to him, maybe I'm overreading, is he loves miles. So we got to brew a mile, and it was him banging on about miles that said, right, better do a mile. And then we called it Breakfast at Timothy's. Perfect. And people love the name. And we don't do wordplay names. We try and stay away from it. But out of respect for Tim, Breakfast at Timothy's, fucking magnificent beer. So his proudest moment was pint of Breakfast at Timothy's, and in his mind, the only accompaniment to a mile, which is a bag of scampi fries. So we had to buy loads of scampi fries for the tap room just for Tim. Scampi fries and mild for Breakfast at Timothy's.
Nice. I like a little bit of wordplay, but only when it's right. We did a lot when we first opened, didn't we, with the Croque Monster
Yeah.
instead of a Croque shirt and whatever. But yeah, I quite like but only if it's right.
Yeah.
Sometimes
If
it
it's
can
cheap,
feel
tacky.
Yeah, cheap. Yeah, absolutely. But it sits well.
Yep.
Oh wow! Well, this is fascinating, but we're actually
That's it.
bang on 1 hour. You can't go yet. You got to do as a quiz. I'm afraid.
All right. Are we doing the quiz then?
Yeah,
I'm ready for it.
You got to embarrass
do
us
it.
some more.
All right. So how are we doing this? Do I ask per question and give you answer? Or do I ask them all and give you the answers at the end?
We'll ask all the questions, then we'll mark it.
do that.
All right. Let's do this.
Can we have another beer there whilst we do this?
Yeah. Let's do. So we'll be doing. Do you know what? Let's end the classic because you can have the other two, which is we've got an everyday journey here and a Simcoe experience, both different beers, but like hoppiness, but steeplechase. We can't end on anything but steeplechase. And someone else
Shall I
do
pour?
the boring. Do the boring. Better finish what I'm doing here now. All right. I better know the answers.
You're good at questions. but
I've got the questions, but I better remember the answer. Anyway, I'll disclose this is my answers are final. So I don't want debate. I don't want people Googling post-event, right? It's my answers are
Google it,
final, right? All right, so question 1. Are we ready?
Question number 1.
All right. The biggest per capita consumers of beer in the world come from what country? Per capita consumption of beer, highest where?
I think I've heard this before. I'm remembering it badly.
I'm going to base it on Martin Clune's 1996 sitcom.
I have.
Don't be copying each other's answers now, right? Hops, they're produced in 2 very concentrated areas in the UK, Kent and broadly the West Midlands. Why?
God knows.
Some of these ones as well, they're not like binary answers,
Cheers,
which I kind of
everybody.
like, yeah? This one is a binary answer. It's a clear answer, single word answer. The world's best keg ale, voted at the Oscars of Beers, the International Brewing and Ciders Awards. What is the beer? So as not to make life too easy for you, I love the question. The answer then is just going to be a bit more complex. But as I said, I'll define whether your answer is correct or not. Why are cans of beer better than bottles of beer? Why? Why is it a better packaging format? We ready?
Yeah.
Are you going to mark each other's answers at the end?
We're honest enough to know whether
All
we
right,
lost them.
we'll see. Right. Why are IPAs brewed so strong and so hoppy? Why? There was an original reason for that. Now it's because people like them, but there was a reason why they were brewed like that. And so if you give me a kind of essay length answer on it, I'll still go. You can't couch the answer in 500 other answers, right? Right, we ready?
Go for it.
Yes.
Biggest per capita consumers of beer. What answers did you have to tell me now what you put?
Austria.
Finland.
You useless feckers. No. Czech Republic.
I
You
was
were
going to write
close.
Prague as well, which is Czech Republic.
By a mile, right?
Because everyone gets shit-faced in
So
Prague.
Czech Republic.
Remembering badly was
Czech,
wrong.
Czech Republic.
Are you writing answers down as well, Adam? Do you actually... No.
I'm right telling you, you've got the answer.
So the Czechs consume about 140 litres of beer a year per capita. Austria close second. So kudos for you.
Half a point?
No. It's pretty clear. Ireland 7th and the UK. Oh, it's like on the
Where was
the
Finland?
5th page.
Finland wasn't even on the fucking list.
No, Finland's way down the list. Finland is
Bloody
20.
Martin Clunes.
You know what he said? He was like that. You know what the biggest drinker of beer is? Finland. hence the impression. Have you finished that?
Well,
No.
Honestly, that's in the show.
anyway, yeah, you're so wrong. You couldn't be wrong, all right? So, like, is the United Kingdom is 23rd. You're absolutely useless in this country.
23rd.
23rd,
That's
useless.
rubbish.
Yeah,
rubbish.
yeah. Mexicans per capita drink more, and there's a few more of them as well. So, yes, you want to be making and selling beer in that. But yeah, it's Czech Republic, Austria, Romania is third, Germany.
So Austria
fourth.
was second.
Austria was second. Yeah.
Come on.
No.
I'm not saying a
Don't get
point,
off
but that's
point.
pretty good.
It's not bad. Yeah.
That's pretty good. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'll not take the point. Although I
You're
should
not
have
right,
the point.
but yeah, it's not bad. Right, hops. Why are they growing in just Kent in the West Midlands? Historical reason.
No idea.
I'm going. Well, historical is actually probably the clue, but I just went for it's maybe wetter.
Yeah, so people normally do weather or terroir or something like that, or soil content.
Yeah, I was going to say soil, but
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Cheap labour. That's it. So because they
In
grow,
Kent?
yeah,
Cheap
yeah,
labour,
yeah. Because they grow on vines, which is like a vine, big fucking ass vines, huge, right? And they're all gnarled inside them. And so for thousands of years, people made beer, for several hundred of those with hops. So they're difficult to get hold of, and the hop season in terms of picking is incredibly short. It's the second week in September. I shit you not. There's 1 week which you have to pick all hops, and so without mechanization and automation, you needed an army of people to do that. And so those armies of people in Kent came from the docks of London, and in the West Midlands it was Welsh miners, and they would all take their holiday in the second week in September, and the whole family would F off to some farm in Kent or the West Midlands, pick hops, drink beer.
Love it.
There we go. So you're learning something new there.
Yeah. Well, I've learned for about 1 hour and 6 minutes.
World's best keg ale at the Oscars of Beer, the International Brewing Awards.
Drovers.
Rovers.
Get in there. Yeah, I thought I'd
Yeah,
give
you
you a
got a
point.
point.
Yeah.
I told you we're rubbish at this.
Why are cans better than bottles?
Reaction with the material.
Environmental.
Environmental is good. It's they better protect the beer. So the twin enemies of beer are light. You never want beer to be touched by naked light, sunlight.
okay.
Hence the reason that
Barrels.
beers a bottle are brown or green. It refracts, but it's very imperfect in terms of, whereas a can perfectly refracts all light. And also the seal on a can is much, much better than your crown cap. So it keeps oxygen away from beer, keeps light away from beer. The perfect vessel. And then there's been loads of tropes over the years about like leaching of cans and stuff like this. All BS, probably by the bottle industry. Cans are the better format. And like cans are everywhere now, in the supermarkets, in the pubs, in the wherever you go. The only bastion of bottles are typically, I'll just say it, arseholey white linen restaurants, where they think, oh, it looks a bit shit on our nice white linen tablecloth. They need to get over themselves, because they are now down to such a small number of products that people are drinking quite shite beers just because they come in bottles.
I prefer all products in a can.
Yeah.
Personally,
And cans look good. Like, we all invest in.
I think that looks fantastic.
So one of the things that, while we're here, is we really invest in trying to make our beer accessible. So if you look at our can, they look good. We think they look good, right? But you can read what beer it is. It's very clear what family or from what brewery it comes. We really try and make them accessible to people, so that if you're looking over a bar on a shelf, they'll stand out enough.
they will.
Without aliens and ray guns and stuff like that, but kind of just, they look good, they look quality, you can read what the hell you're getting. But yeah, cans are better than bottles. Full stop.
I
Love that.
got a round corner tattoo when I was in Thailand.
Did you?
No. Wouldn't it be brilliant?
Yeah, you're looking for like the brew dog free beer for life.
Look at that. I should have drawn it on.
Yeah. So now your final question, because someone's got to win. Are
So,
you
did
1
we
point
both-
each? No.
I put nothing.
For
I
the
could
last-
not.
So hang
I
on.
can't
Yeah, 1 point
remember the
each.
question.
Yeah, so
You
you're
didn't
1
give me
point
points,
each. Right. Why are IPAs brewed so strong and so hoppy?
Export to India to get them drunk.
It's correct. Did you put nothing?
Nothing.
I'll give him half a point, right? But you missed the reason. I'm just generous because we need a winner. It's.
I love you.
That's outrageous. Right, I'm going to come up with an answer. I'm going to come up with an answer.
You didn't even try. I'm not sure what I can do with that. But you spotted the end point, but the obvious reason is preservational qualities. So more alcohol you have in beer, the better preserved and the better life it has.
Right.
Hops
Obviously, it took
also
ages to
have
get to India.
So hops have a preservational quality as well to them. So basically it makes the beer last longer for that big trip to India. And for similar reasons, why you call like Russian Imperial Stouts, just not this made up name, is Peter the Great loved stouts and he used to come to London and drink stouts. So he wanted stouts over in his great new capital that he created in St. Petersburg up in the Baltic. But in order to get stout to him, you had to make it so strong so it would last that trip all the way up through the North Sea into the Baltic and up into St. Petersburg. So hence the reason that Imperial Stouts are like, anywhere from about 8% to 12%. So that's the word Imperial comes from Peter the Great's court. And then India Pale Ales are things that survive the journey to India. Tom, you're the winner, 1.5 points.
Yes.
You get first choice on whichever the Simcoe experience and everyday journey you want.
What's this? That's a hazy.
And the Simcoe is a good break.
Yeah, he wants that.
That's
boom. All right, well done.
That works well for us.
Great.
Combie, you've been an
Thank you
absolute
so
treat.
much.
We've learned so much like I thought we would. And we didn't lose our voice today after 2 podcast recordings. So
Boom.
thank you so much for
Thanks,
coming
lads.
along. I think we call that a wrap.
Boom. All right,
Thank
cheers
you.
now. Hey, woohoo. Round Corner.
In the pre-chat chat, so before we went live with the pod, he told us quite clearly, he said, don't worry about the questions. I'm the king of fucking questions. And wasn't he? I mean, look at that. What a guy.
Well, he knows his stuff, doesn't he?
He does. He knows his
stuff. He's a world
from his
champion.
barleys.
Oh.
Yeah, world champion brewer. Or in the team of. It's
Yeah.
him and his team, of course. I loved it. I loved all that we've learned in there. I thought...
We kind of sat in awe, didn't we? It was just like,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and what I liked as well, actually, about that interview was that he kind of asked his own questions. I asked a question. I know there was one scenario where I asked one question and he went, "That's a shit question. I'm going to talk about this instead."
He just went with it. He just went with
And then
"Yeah,
looped
sound."
round to answer my question just to keep me at bay. It's like a really good comedian. You know, when they plant that thing about the rabbit at the start and then they loop back, there's a special name for it. And they come back and they talk about the rabbit. Billy Connolly does it well. Anyway, that's episode 3559 done. Like, subscribe, give us some love.
See you next week.
Bye.